I just looked at Terence Crawford's latest video. Terence Crawford, 20 pounds of muscle, my ass. Terence Crawford looks finished. And I knew that was going to happen because Terence Crawford's metabolism and its strength. You got him walking around maybe close to 180 or something like that. But as he works out, his body's going to do what it does. It's going to get lean. And I think it benefits Terence Crawford. Actually, we don't want him stepping in the ring going up to 180. I think it just hinders him, right? When Floyd Mayweather was fighting at 154, he never weighed in at 154. He weighed in at what was most comfortable for him because 154 is the limit. Terence Bud Crawford, if he gets on the scale and he doesn't weigh quite 168, I think it's actually for his benefit. What he has going for him comes with him being smaller, actually. People talk about his speed, talking about his foot speed, hand speed, talking about all those things, his reflexes and all those things. That comes from what we've seen of him from 147.
Jermell Charlo's latest comments on Canelo Alvarez have stirred up a lot of discussion and debate within the boxing world.
Guys that just have preposterous power, and Canelo is a guy that has power but is constantly working on it. There's a great clip of him working with Andy Ruiz. You know that shield, that weird hand shield they hold up for hooks? Yeah. And he's like, this is not for speed. This is just power, just power. He's like, don't try to be fast with this, use power. And you see him, bro, he hits so.
After suffering a tough defeat to the Mexican superstar in 2023, Charlo didn't mince words. When asked to describe Canelo's punching power, he boiled it down to just 3 words: a beast. For a fighter who's shared the ring with elite opponents, that kind of statement carries serious weight. Charlo admitted he had never experienced a punch that rattled him the way Canelo's did. In fact, he revealed it was the first time in his career he had ever felt truly dazed, a surprising confession given the long list of high-level battles on his record.
Mike Crawford. All right, my brother fought Canelo, not me. I like Crawford in this fight, and he gets to stay big. But my brother even told me that was his mistake that he made. He thought going up in weight, I gotta get massive, I gotta get big to beat Canelo. It made him slower, it made his reflexes slower. He'll tell you himself, he didn't feel like the Jermell Charlo that y'all seen him fight Tony Harrison. Crawford, I feel like that's the same thing as that. You want to get big to try to absorb Canelo punches and all this, but that's not, technically, that's not the Crawford that we're gonna see. And then Crawford going up there to fight Canelo at 68, when he's not a 68 pounder, where's the motivation? Y'all got to think about it like
big for Crawford.
The money is good, but I don't expect Terence Crawford to be the Terence Crawford that was knocking out Gamboa, doing all. I don't expect that type of kick.
With Canelo gearing up for his next challenge, attention is shifted to his upcoming showdown with Terence Crawford in Las Vegas. Crawford, widely regarded as one of the sport's pound-for-pound greats, has already proven himself by moving successfully from lightweight to welterweight, and now he's eyeing the jump to super middleweight. The size difference raises plenty of questions about how he'll handle a naturally bigger opponent like Canelo. Still, this matchup offers Canelo a unique test, as Crawford's sharp ring IQ and technical precision could expose areas of vulnerability in Canelo's approach.
They give Crawford problems. I favor Canelo, not by a lot, but I do favor him. I just think that, I think the skull fight was just a bad style. And I think Canelo was like, why force the issue? You know what I mean? I'm up, this guy's running, I'm not gonna take a chance. So I think that it was that kind of fight for Canelo. But Marjamov did give Crawford problems, you know what I'm saying? And where I felt like, damn, at 54, he gave you problems. 68 is different.
Corin Davis has weighed in on the matchup, emphasizing that Crawford's mindset and adaptability at a higher weight could prove more important than many anticipate. While Canelo clearly enters the fight as the naturally larger man, Davis argues that the gap might not be as decisive as people assume. According to him, Crawford has managed to rise through divisions without sacrificing the speed, sharpness, or ring IQ that make him dangerous.
Yeah. So you've been in there with Crawford, you've been in there with Canelo. What can you take from sparring both of them to gauge what's gonna happen in September?
Preparation is gonna definitely be everything.
Crawford adjusting to the 168 pound division. I know he's been sitting at a heavier weight for a while, but like, he's been showing his training and stuff. So that's definitely gonna help him. Canelo experience, but then you got Crawford got great experience as well. It's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a good chess match. I expect a great fight. If I had to favor somebody, I would just pick Canelo because of the weight disparity. Canelo is naturally sits really well at 168, and it's just always tough for a guy to come to 168 and come from that many weight classes up and do something like that. If he does it, if anybody could do it, it'll be.
Richardson Hitchens has expressed a similar view. While he doesn't see a knockout on the horizon, he believes Crawford's blend of intelligence, adaptability, and refined technique could pose serious challenges for Canelo. Known for his raw strength and punishing power, Canelo may find it difficult to close the distance if Crawford uses his movement and slick defense effectively. In a contest where strategy outweighs brute force, Crawford's ring IQ could give him the edge and allow him to outmaneuver Canelo over the course of the fight.
Terence Crawford is one of the most craftiest dudes that Canelo going to be in the ring with. Hand speed, IQ, long arms, speed, power. Switch hitter. I just think that it's going to be a lot it's going to be something different.
Boxing legend Mike Tyson, no stranger to the qualities that separate good fighters from great ones, believes Crawford's mental toughness could prove decisive. Tyson points out that when the physical differences are stacked against you, it's often heart, resilience, and mindset that determine the winner. Crawford has consistently demonstrated that mental edge throughout his career, and Tyson is confident that his focus and determination will be key tools in handling Canelo's physical advantages inside the ring.
Is it maybe the weight too much for Terence Crawford?
There's been men that beat people like Armstrong and McLaren and these guys. They're beating people bigger than them, 2 divisions bigger than them. It's not impossible, Henry Armstrong's a featherweight, and he beat the middleweight champ. At 130 pounds, he beat the welterweight champ. Then he fought a draw with the middleweight champ. So I think size means nothing. Determination.
Judah is even more convinced of Crawford's chances. He argues that Crawford has the tools to actually stop Canelo, crediting his sharp instincts and quick reflexes as major advantages. Judah believes Crawford's speed and tactical intelligence could allow him to outmaneuver the Mexican champion, particularly in the later rounds when Canelo's stamina may begin to fade.
Canelo and Crawford.
Crawford. No hesitation. No hesitation.
I want to see that fight.
Big Bud. Big Bud. We're going to have to roll Canelo up. We're going to have to pack him up, baby.
But how hard is the jump from 47 to 68?
I mean, listen, it's a very big challenge. But what I said, for his skills and the way he's adapted to the size, brother, when I seen them stand toe-to-toe and side by side, I said, game over. Terence Crawford. And listen, don't be surprised if he stops it. I'm telling you.
Who?
Don't be surprised
if Canelo stops Crawford.
Terence Bud Crawford stops Canelo.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I love you. Skills pay the bills. See that, Cody?
Caleb Plant offers a more measured perspective. He believes the outcome won't hinge solely on size or natural talent, but also on mental resilience. In his view, both men bring something distinct to the ring. Canelo with his power and wealth of experience, and Crawford with his sharp skills and adaptability. That mix of attributes, Plant suggests, makes the matchup unpredictable and fascinating, a contest sure to push both fighters to their limits.
Terence is not a regular guy. You know what I'm saying? He's special. And, Canelo, he's a top-notch fighter, world-class fighter. Still on the pound-for-pound list, I'm sure towards somewhere near the top. And it's exciting. Terence is freakishly strong. He can punch. He's got good crack. He can fight from both ways. Orthodox, southpaw. He can fight at mid-range, close range, outside. And he can fight going both ways. So it's exciting. It's exciting. It's a big question mark on the end of it, though. So that's why, I'm sure all of us are excited for that bell to ring and, be able to find out firsthand.
Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith has also shared his thoughts, leaning in Crawford's favor. He argues that Crawford's superior footwork and mobility could be the deciding factors, helping him evade Canelo's trademark power shots. While Canelo's style is built around cutting off the ring and landing heavy blows, Smith believes that approach might actually benefit Crawford. With his ability to box effectively while on the move, Crawford could frustrate Canelo, and if he stays elusive, Smith suggests an upset victory isn't out of the question.
You got a love for boxing.
Yes, love boxing.
Who's gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest
Crawford.
fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud.
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's gonna go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
always prepared.
He's always ready. He's
him
always prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster. But he ain't got...
Kelly Pavlik adds another layer to the discussion. While he credits Canelo's experience against naturally bigger opponents, he highlights that Crawford hasn't faced as many challenges at higher weight classes. Pavlik sees this as a potential factor, noting that Crawford is still adjusting to competing against fighters who are not only larger and stronger, but also comfortable with the pace at that level. Even so, he acknowledges Crawford's exceptional talent and suggests that his best chance at victory will come from relying on speed, footwork, and ring IQ to dictate the tempo of the fight.
Tough one. Look, I like betting fights or making picks, and I'm usually pretty good on all my picks, even when I had the podcast. But sometimes, because people look for that fighter, that former world champion, and they like want to pick them apart if they get it wrong. This is one of the fights where I want to sit back and watch and not worry about my pick. Canelo is a small middleweight, super middleweight. He just is. But he's also showed that he can go up in weight class, and he's a great fighter. I mean, that's it. Crawford is so talented. He's got so much ability in boxing, his boxing ability. And he's a bigger guy, too. He's almost every bit as big as Canelo, right? So that's what makes it tough. Like, yeah, Canelo's used to fighting guys coming down from 200, probably, at light heavyweight. And Crawford ain't. But it's just too hard to pick on it because of Crawford's ability and boxing skills. I'm not going off of Canelo's last fight. The guy he was fighting was in survival mode, pretty much. He was just fighting not to get knocked out. When you fight a guy like that, you're not going to look good, right? I don't care what anybody says. When you fight a guy that's running around trying to survive, it makes it hard. So I don't go off of that, but this fight is going to be interesting. I mean, I would almost have to kind of lean with Canelo, but I'm not making that pick.
Pavlik also offers tactical insight for Crawford, suggesting that he apply pressure early in the fight. Forcing Canelo to work from the opening rounds, he explains, could drain the Mexican star's energy, a weakness that has occasionally surfaced in the later stages of his past bouts. If Crawford can capitalize on this and maintain the pace, it may create an opportunity for a late stoppage or a decisive points victory. While the approach carries risk, Pavlik believes it's a strategy that could tilt the fight in Crawford's favor if executed effectively.
That's a little early on. Put Canelo behind, right? Even if it's 3 out of the first 4 rounds. Because when Canelo has to fight, when Canelo has to step it up, after 7 rounds, he starts to fade a little bit. We've seen that with Bivol. We've seen it in a lot of his fights with Triple G. When Canelo could control the fight, in the ring generalship, he could fight 12 rounds pretty good. But when Canelo gets pushed early on in the fight, he starts to fade muscle endurance-wise. So if I was Crawford, I would kind of stay in a little bit on, the early rounds and make him have to play catch up in the rounds 3, 4, 5. And then by round 7, that's where, he can.
Tim Bradley makes no secret of his support for Crawford. He downplays concerns about Canelo's recent form, including less than dominant outings against fighters like John Ryder. In Bradley's view, Crawford's superior boxing ability will be too much for Canelo to overcome. He believes that even if the Mexican star tries to drag the fight into a slugfest, Crawford's ring control and technical mastery will allow him to dictate the action from start to finish.
Hey, it don't matter if Canelo is on that. He ain't beat no Terence Crawford. You heard it here first. Plus, I look at the performances of Canelo. I look at his last performances. I mean, they've been all right, It ain't been like, wow, blew me away. So I'm not really worried about all of that. And the same thing goes with Crawford. I know he's with Snack, and I know some news came out this week and all of that, but I personally believe that Snack is clean. I think it's a conflict of interest, the fact that, hey, he knows how to beat the system, quote unquote, make the Conte, but at the same time, I think Snack, you got products going around the world, this and that. I mean, all these athletes are testing. They're not testing anything or positive by using Snack at all. So I think it's safe. There's no doubt about it. So with that being said, I'm not worried about that. As long as they testing, I'm good.
Shannon Briggs, however, takes a different stance. He dismisses concerns about the size disparity and insists that Crawford has the tools to stop Canelo. Briggs highlights Crawford's versatility, his ability to switch stances seamlessly, and his high-level technical skills as key factors that could lead to an upset. Having followed Crawford since his early years, Briggs expresses full confidence in the unbeaten champion's abilities, even predicting a stoppage victory delivered through a masterful, technical performance.
It's gonna be a great fight. I got Crawford by stoppage, and I known him since he was a little kid, 12 years old. So to see him now fighting for a title in such a big fight, it's a great experience, great to see.
Last question for me then. How do you think Crawford stops him? How do you think he's able to work Canelo enough for him to stop the fight, knock him down? How do you think this is possible by Crawford style?
He gonna box him. He can fight both ways. He gonna trick him up. One thing Canelo showed is that he can be outboxed. But I think this time in the late rounds, I think Crawford.
Sergio Mora admits he originally doubted whether Crawford could compete effectively with Canelo at 168 pounds. He questioned how Crawford would hold up against someone of Canelo's caliber, especially after a less than stellar showing against William Skull. However, Mora has since reconsidered his stance, noting that Crawford's resilience and well-rounded skill set could allow him to exceed expectations. In particular, Mora points to Crawford's sharp, counterpunching and ability to switch stances as potential keys to blunting Canelo's power and shifting the fight in his favor.
A lot. I've been putting it out since, I want to say, when he fought Sean Porter. Like back then, if you go watch, it's an interview out there. I had said I think that Terence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez right after he fought Sean Porter.
At that point, but why did you believe then that was the right fight?
Because I just knew, like, as far as in that weight class, Terence Crawford is like the greatest. So I just feel as though with Canelo's style and like the style of boxing that he got, I think and this is before Bivol did it. But I thought like Terence Crawford was the only guy who I felt as though could have beat Canelo with his.
Shakur Stevenson has long believed in Crawford's ability to dethrone Canelo. Having followed Crawford's rise closely, particularly his dominant win over Sean Porter in 2021, Stevenson views him as one of the sport's elite. He's confident that Crawford's versatile skill set, his ability to switch smoothly between orthodox and southpaw stances, and his exceptional ring IQ make him the ideal opponent to hand Canelo a loss. On the other hand, Erislandy Lara, who once pushed Canelo to a split decision victory, takes a more cautious approach. Drawing from his own experience, Lara stresses how difficult it is to withstand Canelo's power, especially in the later rounds. He believes Crawford's smartest strategy would be to lean on speed and movement, forcing Canelo to chase and work harder than usual. By keeping the fight at range and avoiding extended exchanges, Lara feels Crawford could steer clear of a brawl and potentially outbox Canelo for the win.
He's a very interesting 50-50 fight. He feels like Canelo's very strong right now, and he wants to figure out to see how Crawford's going to handle the power, especially in the early rounds, and what's going to happen. So yeah, he said he remembers fighting Canelo back 14 years ago it is now, and he said he remembers he used his legs real good, and as long as Crawford uses his legs and he doesn't let Canelo just hit him in the arms and beat him up in the arms, he has a very good...
Ultimately, the clash between Canelo and Crawford is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated boxing events in recent years. With experts and fighters split on the outcome, the only certainty is that both men bring very different, but equally compelling, the strengths into the ring. Whether it's Canelo's raw power or Crawford's technical mastery, fans around the globe will be watching closely to see who emerges victorious in this blockbuster showdown.